Welcome to the Real Mama Pod. Real ass moms sharing real ass experiences, the things people don't tell you.
Hey, Mama. Hey.
Hey, Mama. Hey.
Hey, guys.
Y'all, we have a special guest tonight, as you can see in here.
Yes, we do. Hi, Gia.
Ladies.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm well. It's what, not 8:30 my time, and got those kids down, so it's mama time now.
Yes,
Listen,
it's time for Mama Talk.
one of the best parts of the day
It
is
really
Mama
is.
time.
It really is.
Mama time. As soon as they go down, it's on and popping.
It's time. It's time. All I'm missing is my glass of wine, but it's coming.
Okay. Well, Mama just gonna get you right tonight.
All right.
I think you'll like Mama Juice tonight.
Yeah,
I
for
do.
sure. So for those who are listening and watching, we have a special guest tonight, my line sister, very close line sister of mine, Gia-Amari Sneed, and she's here to talk about all things life. Gia has gone through some traumatic things, and she's been very open about sharing her story and trying to help other women navigate through this thing we call life, who may be experiencing some of the things that she has experienced. So one, we thank you for joining us tonight and being open and so transparent on our platform. I just love your spirit and I love everything about you. I love how you mommy your children. I love how you're a leader at work, how you're a great line sister. I love all that about you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Welcome,
me.
Gia.
Yeah. So usually when we start off the show and we start off Q&A, the first question we ask our guests is what's your journey into motherhood? Like briefly tell us about your journey, how you became a mom. You don't have to go in full detail, just, your little journey.
Yeah, so I'll say, I think when I think about that question, the first thing that comes to mind is actually conception, right? And that was never a struggle for me. I got pregnant twice. As soon as I stopped taking that birth control, my husband was like, it's time. And so each time, like clockwork. So that wasn't a struggle. And I also was never that person that wanted kids. Like I wanted the wedding, I wanted the great love, but I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to be a mom. That wasn't really my thing. But having such a great marriage really made me want kids. Like I could not see us not having a family. Right. And so I think that was my journey to motherhood. And he had 3 siblings or has 3 siblings. So that's something that he very much wanted, So I was like, definitely, like I could see myself having babies with you. Like I'm in love with you, and I'm not anti-kids, but I'm not the auntie either. Like, don't bring the kids up here, don't drop them off. That's not my thing. I really want my own. Like, if you want them, come pick them up. Like, that's cool. So it was very much an in love type of journey. Like, I'm in love with this man, and so I want to start a family with him.
Oh my gosh, that's such a different perspective. I've never heard that before. Have you, Ken?
Yeah.
I have not.
And we hear a lot of journeys. And all that. So that's pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah,
I love you so much. I want to have your babies.
Him. Right.
Yes.
Like literally.
Like people sing about it, but I've never really heard that before, if that makes sense.
Girl, it was definitely me in the wee hours or whenever conception happened. It was me that was like, yeah, give me a baby. Yeah, that was part of the sex talk.
Put one in me.
Right. Yes. Shoot up the club. All of that. I love it. That is so special.
That's literally how that conversation. Go ahead and shoot up the club.
Yeah.
It's go time.
Go ahead. Right. Green light.
Right.
Oh boy. So when we started this conversation, Gia, Devin mentioned that, you've had some traumatic experiences happen in your life, but we want to know how you are doing.
I think given the circumstances, I'm doing really well. I was talking to a friend today, and he shared with me that I'm a privileged person.
Hmm.
I've never considered myself, I've never, that's not an adjective that I've ever used to describe myself.
Mm-hmm.
And his perspective was really around the fact that I've never had to get it out of the mud, like I've always been fortunate financially. My parents have not really, can't think of a thing that I've wanted for that I couldn't afford. And then, as you all know, going to FAMU, our circle is just so huge, right? So I've got this network of people around me that keep me lifted no matter what. And so I think because I've had space to learn how to cope when things don't go well, because I have great people around me, because I've never had to want for anything, I think that freed up a lot of space and time for me to learn how to, when negative things do happen, how do you find and create happiness in the midst of it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I learned how to do that at a very young age. Because wherein I didn't struggle financially, I'm sure I went through some, emotional and mental stresses growing up. But I learned how to create happiness in the midst of it. And so in this phase of life, I think I'm just doing what I've always done. People call it resilience. And I don't know if I love that word, because a lot of times I don't want to be resilient, but naturally I just climb out of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been something about me. So I think I'm doing well. I have great days. I have really, really bad days. And then I have those days in between, but I'm always reminded that everybody carries something, and this is just my life's journey, and I've got to embrace it and find all of those sweet spots in the midst of it all.
Right.
Yeah,
Love
so
it.
I love that. I love that.
Finding those sweet spots and understanding that you're learning as you
yeah,
continue to go throughout life.
absolutely.
And
So what
sometimes
would
we're forced to be resilient.
right.
We don't always want to be, like you said, but life, the way life happens, sometimes it forces us to find ways to get through. And that's what resiliency looks like.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about your sweet spots, like give us some examples of that.
So I'm not sure if y'all want me to directly speak to what the trauma is right now.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, so for those that are listening, a year and a half ago, so February of 21, I lost my husband to suicide. And I think finding the sweet spot is I had that college love
Mm-hmm.
that was tough, right? As you guys can understand, when you're young and growing in love, there's so much pain in that. But we grew this really beautiful, great love. Troy loved me in a way that I don't know that everybody gets the opportunity to experience
Mm.
ever in life, right? And so that's my sweet spot, right? Is that I was afforded something that people never get. People live their lives in search of love. And I try to be very selfless and understand that, hey, you had it no matter how short it may have felt. You had it. I have a lot of friends that are still looking for love, right? Can't find the right person, have been married and divorced, can't conceive, and that's a struggle. And so I try to find sweet spots in that. So I look at all of the great things that I have, and that's where I try to stay, right? Had a great love, have two beautiful children that came from it. But it's really tough for anybody else walking into the picture because he's unmatchable. Like
Mm-hmm.
there'll never be anything quite like it. I call his love sacrificial love because there was nothing that he would not do to see me happy, including, um, not being here anymore, to make sure that I no longer had to live a certain type of life of caregiving, for lack of better terms. And so you just don't find that. That's super rare. And so that will forever be the sweet spot in the midst of it all.
For sharing that, Gia.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so beautiful. Like, I'm trying not to tear up and
I know
cry.
it's hard, girl. I'm over here like, ah.
If you gotta cry, let it out.
Let it
Okay.
out. But I don't want to be the cause of you crying. So I'm trying to keep it together over here. But to have that perspective, it's just beautiful. Beautiful. Just the way you put those words together and seeing the other side, right? Because a lot of times when we talk about suicide, we say how horrible it is and all these other things, right? And how it affects the people that we lost, how they loved them and how they left them behind and all these things. But for you to see it as sacrificial because he wanted you to be happy, you know, like you don't always hear that.
Yeah.
So the fact that you said that can definitely, you know, put perspective on someone else. Are those
Absolutely.
my kids? Is that Eli? Those are my kids. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's only a matter of time for it's one of mine.
Right. If y'all hear screaming,
This is the real mama pod.
yeah,
so
we've had
you
screaming
might
babies
hear a
on there
few
before.
kids in the background.
So tag, I'm it. But thank you for that. Like seriously, thank you.
Sure, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I'm not usually at a loss for words, but
You see, I'm sitting here quiet.
right. I'm just like trying to like process that. So thank you. So you talked about losing your partner, right? How has that changed your perspective on motherhood? How has that changed your day to day? Like, what does that look like for you now?
You know, I think I don't know if this is the case for all relationships that bear children, but a lot of times I found myself trying to impress Troy through how I mothered. Right. So I would do things a certain way because I knew that's what he wanted for our kids. And I would do things that would kind of be looking at him like, did I do a good job? You know, because I grew up, and although I have a brother that's 3 years older than me, we grew up kind of differently, even though in the same house. So I a lot of times will consider myself as growing up like an only child. And then I didn't grow up with a lot of close family. So being a mom was not like a natural thing for me. I had to learn. And so Troy coming from this big family and being very close knit to his siblings taught me a lot and encouraged me and pushed me a lot. And I was like, okay, so I should do this. And I need to think about, Troy was a thinker, very analytical. And so I found myself overthinking a lot of things and not letting some of those natural maternal instincts kick in. And so now that I am a single parent, I find myself just being like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm not even thinking about it. I don't care. You know, I think I just posted something today along the lines of there was a quote that said, you know, most of the times I gentle parent, but there are other times that I have to apologize and say, mommy just lost her shit and I'm sorry. Like, and I feel like that's me half of the time. Because I'm doing it by myself now. Now I have help. My parents are here. But during the week, it's just me. Because one of the things that Troy was huge on that I will keep throughout my life is structure for the children. So during the week, they're here. They go to bed at a certain time. I don't really implore help. And so I be losing it. Like I'd be straight up losing it. And I think if Troy was still here, I'd have a little bit more patience with them. I'd probably be a little more gentle. So I think I have really kind of stepped into this space of whatever the day looks like is what it looks like. And I'm just going to try my best. And it's the best that I can do. And that's, I don't think I was always comfortable with that. I was very much like, no, it's got to be this way. And I've got to be intentional to make sure that the best looks like this. Right. And when you don't have that partner anymore that you're trying to coexist with and make things look a way together, and it's just you, I think there's a certain freedom about it. You know, you just be like, hey, it's me on my own. There's no one to tell me how to do it, how it shouldn't be done. And let's just hope and pray that it's the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong way, right? It's whatever works for you in that moment. I think that's the most valuable thing I learned about being a parent at this point. Like, you know, it just started 4 years ago, but like there is no right way.
A long time, girl.
Yeah. Thank you, 4 years.
That's a long
It's
So
a journey.
yeah, it's a journey. You're constantly learning to be better, right? So we didn't get no handbook. And even if we did, it may not apply to our kids because each kid is different.
Yeah,
Even when
exactly.
you grow up with two parents in a home, same exact parents, same exact things, the kid is still different from
so
their
different.
sibling.
Yep,
So like you're just doing the best you can.
that's it.
We all lose our shit.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there who hasn't.
Right?
Whether it's in front of the kids or behind closed doors,
Yep.
you
And all
lose
you
your
can do is
shit.
apologize. Look,
That's
I'm
it.
sorry, son.
I'd be like, y'all gonna have to learn through me. I'd be like, really shouldn't. I didn't be fussing at her brother Troy, and I'd be like, why are you talking to him like that? And then I have to self-reflect. I say, because that's how I talk to you. I gotta fix this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your kids teach you a lot of
They
stuff,
do.
man.
And you see a
Whether
lot of
it's
yourself in
intentional.
them too. You like, dang, I gotta check
Exactly.
myself.
Mothering yourself. So, Gia, again, thank you for sharing your story. If there is a mama out there who has experienced a similar trauma as yourself, what advice would you give her?
I would give her, or I would tell her to do what feels right for her in this situation. I think that God gives us, if it's a woman of faith, God gives us no more than we can handle.
Mm.
And he gives us exactly what we need, right? And so I think I was what Troy needed to be here for as long as he was, and he was what I needed,
Right.
in the time that we had each other. And so I would encourage that mother, that wife, because a lot of times I'll be like, I'm not a wife anymore, but I'm still a wife,
Yeah.
and I would encourage her to find those sweet spots, find the positives in the love that she shared, and then be open to love again, be open. And no matter what that form is, not necessarily does it have to be in the form of dating, right? Because that comes in time and finding that person, but love from those around you, because that's what's going to keep you lifted. Family members, people that maybe you never thought would be a resource,
Right.
right? Or that person that can be there for you. Just open yourself up, share your story. There is healing in transparency, in sharing. Share your story, share the struggles. And I think talk more about it, because it can be life-saving for someone else. I think one of the things for Troy was he did not share. He did not have a desire. He did not want to. It was so, that black male ego, didn't want people to know what he struggled with. But his story is Troy has always been clinically depressed and had anxiety. This was not something that just happened. He had been on medication for years. Life events took a turn and caused a deep depression, right? That he could not dig out of. I compare it to someone that goes from maybe stage 2 to stage 4 cancer, and it's whether your body can fight it or not. And so I just encourage that person to stay positive, share your story. And hopefully in your story, you'll help others, because not only is there healing in sharing, there's healing in healing others, right? And so help heal someone else in the process. It'll propel you forward. Definitely.
Wow. I'm glad you said that, because I was listening to a podcast today and they literally said, heal people, heal people. And like, we have to start healing each other along with therapy and things like that, right? That is very important. But like, it starts with each other, because sometimes we may not have access, especially with the pandemic. It's so hard to find therapists now. There are wait lists, so it's just like, okay, let's start doing this as a community. Let's try helping each other, because if we're all healed, then guess what? Everyone is happy,
Yeah.
So, okay. That was just my 2 cents about that.
That was good. Thanks, bro. Good point. Good point.
sometimes I just get to run in my mouth. So
no, it was good content, friend. It was good. It was a good response to what Gia shared.
Yeah.
You're not rambling. You're good.
Because I can ramble. So like, what keeps you going? What keeps you going?
Oh, I think everybody wants to hear me say the kids, but it ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
that's okay.
That's real.
Girl, they be dragging me down. They're not. So I will tell you, the kids are what keep me here. And I say that because I've never struggled with depression or anxiety or any mental illness. That's not my story. But when Troy took his life, that was the first time that I ever considered it, ever. Because I don't know how to describe the connection that we had. It was nothing but God structured. Like that was the thing that when they say in your vows, let no man, what is it, asunder, whatever that word is they use. It was a
I
bond
don't
that
remember.
no girl. And
I'm gonna have to Google it. That was a
What's
long
the
time
wedding
ago.
vows again?
it was one of those things that it was unbreakable by anything. And so for me, I felt like that love shouldn't be separated. Like I need to be where he is. And I would be lying if I say that those thoughts don't cross my mind. Would I ever act on it? No. I think it takes a certain level of illness to be able to actually act out something like that. But the thoughts have been there, and my kids are what keep me here and away from those thoughts spiraling, because I could never leave them without me, right? But what keeps me going is, if God was so faithful to give me such a beautiful man for the time that he did, I know that he can do it again. So my hope for life and for love is what keeps me going. And like I said, the village around me, like my line sisters who just, I don't think I cooked or wanted for food for 2 straight months, and to know that you have that without having to make a phone call, without having to transfer funds. You saw how the family showed up in the GoFundMe. My children have money set aside for college that I don't have to think about, from people that just here. When you know that you have that in your corner, I think you learn to be appreciative for life, and you learn to, I can't let the people that are rooting for me down, right? That want to see me come out of this. And so I think all of those things, the village, and then just the openness and willingness to love again and to have a beautiful life. I had a beautiful life, and I refuse to sit here and say that that's over now. Like I've got to move forward to find that next chapter that hopefully will be even more beautiful. It'll be different, but hopefully it'll be more beautiful in its own way.
Wow.
You've been leaving me speechless throughout most of this interview, or I should say conversation.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
When I say you're dropping gems, okay, and I'm happy to see you open to love again, right? And not letting that stop you.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too, girl. Where he at?
We're gonna find him. Okay?
On the way. On the way.
God is shaping and molding, because listen, it's gonna be a hard act to follow.
Yeah. Wow.
Very hard act. I have been tough on, just being transparent. I have dated, and I feel like it's honestly unfair for the men that date me, because to be honest, I'm not ready to fully I'm ready to date. I'm ready to have a good time. I'm ready to welcome people in, but I'm not ready to let go of Troy.
That's fair.
So and that's on your own time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm literally like sitting across the table from a guy. I'm like, Troy would never do that. Or, I told one guy, he had on a certain outfit, and I was like, oh, you look like a Florida. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I love me a Florida. So everything is like in comparison to him still. And that's not fair for someone that is ready to take a relationship to a certain level.
Mhm.
So I'm learning to be very open with people that I date about where I am. And I
Yeah.
wasn't like that initially. I was like, oh, I'm ready for this. I could date somebody. I'm ready to have what I had. And so I jumped in and realized, like, no, you're not.
Mhm.
You're not. You're ready to go on dates.
Mhm.
You're ready to have company. You know, you're ready to, I'm willing to pour in to someone else and be poured into, but there's levels to it. I don't
Right.
think I'm ready to allow him to be fully himself. I don't think I would be truly accepting and able to see someone the way that they deserve to be seen right now.
That's real.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
real.
on your own clock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You date how and when you want to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Absolutely.
We out here
We
having
have, yes,
Yes.
have
Have some
fun.
fun. Yeah.
fun.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Have
Definitely have
fun.
fun.
Yes.
Yes. Live your life
We
to the fullest.
we actually
Yeah.
have some questions for you about dating.
Okay.
But there are a couple questions that we want to ask you before we get to that fun
Okay. Look at
conversation.
me jumping
Yes.
again.
Dating
No, you're
conversations can be real fun.
fine.
No,
Yeah.
you're good. This is your conversation, Gia.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but
Say it again.
this is your
That mama
conversation,
coming out.
right? um, so what tools did you use to share the news with your children?
Um, so because of their age, so Arden at the time was 4 and no, 5 and Trip 3. So for Trip, my baby or Troy, there's no conversation that was had with him, right? I think he knows, right? Like in passing, we'll say like daddy's in heaven if he ever says something about daddy. But for Arden, what we were so blessed with is we had put her in a private Christian school for pre-K. It ended up being less expensive than daycare. So we was like, why would we keep her in daycare? So she was learning a lot about God and her spirituality. And so the night that Troy passed, I remember my dad being like, just, I know you're not going to be able to sleep tonight, but just rest and tell Arden in the morning. I was like, no. Devin's had an opportunity to meet Arden is a very mature little girl.
Very.
And so one thing about it is Arden wasn't going to let me go to sleep without knowing what was going on. Like, where's my daddy? What's happening? Like, so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to keep it from her. So I remember going up the stairs and she was getting her nails painted. And I said, hey, baby, I need to tell you something. And I don't even think I had processed everything. This was literally hours after. And I said, you're not going to be able to see daddy anymore. And she was like, what do you mean? It's like, you're not going to be able to see him because he's in heaven and he'll be with you all the time. And she goes, so I have another angel, because we refer to Troy's dad had passed from COVID less than a year before Troy's passing. And we had kind of started talking to her about it. And then my grandparents that she never met because they're passed away, I would always say, you have grandmothers and grandfathers in heaven and they're your angels. So she immediately connected that daddy was an angel now. And for her, that was enough. And now often she'll talk about, when she's sad or something happens, I know daddy's got me. I know daddy's watching over me. So I know that it's going to change over time. Her feelings are going to develop. And I'm not sure yet what tools I'm going to use to navigate that. But right now, I just reinforce that daddy will always be with us. And there are things that stand out that I know for a fact Troy's presence is there. And I always call it out to her. And I think sometimes my parents are like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, yes, because I want her to always know, and be able to identify for herself. when her dad is present, and so sometimes she be reaching, like the lights will flicker and she'll be like, my daddy in the room. And I'm like, that nigga's not here.
He might be. He might be
might.
there.
And he might. But yeah, they're doing well, and we'll just see as time goes what that looks at and what trick looks like and what those tricks are. I gotta pull out of the, literally
You're
out of
gonna
my
do
mind.
great. You're gonna do great. Are
You're
you
awesome.
and the babies? Are you all in therapy, or how are you all navigating this?
Yeah, so I initially started therapy like maybe the next week. And I had been in therapy with Troy as he was like over time, and as he was battling his illness. And for me, therapy is like finding a mate. Like you got to find the right therapist, right? So someone that really works with you, and that you're comfortable with. And I think I got discouraged early on because like I said, I've always been really good at working myself through things. And so I felt comfortable, and I still do feel comfortable with that. Do I need to re-engage in therapy? Absolutely. Um, I just have not made it a priority because I'm a little bit overwhelmed just thinking about the process of finding the right person and having to tell the story over and over, you know. As far as the kids, so genetically Troy battled depression and anxiety. So I'm very concerned about my son because the men in Troy's family carry the gene in a different way, in a very strong way. Um, and so I will probably introduce him to therapy when I can pick up on him being able to communicate his feelings and thoughts very well, and clearly, so that it's not a reactive thing. It's something that they're proactively doing. Like, this is normal. We talk to somebody once or twice a month. And the same for Arden. Right now, I want her to have a safe space in me, and her grandparents. And then over time, eventually she will. There's actually a center here, I think it's called Bo's Place or something, where the therapy is more play therapy, like breaking glass and putting the pieces together. And it's supposed to be, a visual of what it looked like to lose someone. And then how do you put the pieces back together? So things like that. So I'm really interested in getting them in things like that to begin with, and then moving into the, hey, let's go just talk things out. So yeah, over time.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well,
Sorry,
thank
y'all.
you again, Gia.
I tried to keep
friend.
it together as much as I could, so I do apologize.
It's all right, girl. I was sniffling. I cried a little bit. I sucked it
Don't
up.
have to apologize. Do not have to apologize.
You're right.
But thanks for being so open, Gia, just with your process and how your kids processed everything. And you're doing great.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
And someone else hearing this is, even if it touched one person, like one person is enough, So I just really appreciate you for your transparency and your vulnerability, because I know that has to be hard as well.
I appreciate you being bold enough to ask, right? Because a lot of people won't. They're like, I'm not going to ask the questions. I'm not going to ask if she's ready, because the assumption is that there's no way that I could be in a place to want to or be able to. I appreciate you just saying, hey, do you want, this is healing for me. So
absolutely. And I'm all about healing myself, others, like whatever I can do, like that is just something I've always, I don't know, I don't want to say good at, but I've always advocated for others since a little girl, right?
As long as
so right, that's just been my thing. So I'm just like, how can I save the world?
Yeah.
Who needs me? And who can I help, and who can I put together to help each other? Like, how can we do this? And that's kind of how the Real Mama Pod was born too, because it's like people need to hear these stories because they're not being told, and we're not talking about it like we should. And with social media now, it's just literally a highlight reel, especially with these reels now and TikToks. Like everything is just like so like glamorous and glitz. And it's like people are struggling out here and
Yep.
motherhood and life at work, everything. And soon as you click on Instagram, it's like, oh, everybody's happy.
Everybody's good.
And so we interviewed Melissa Butler a few weeks ago, and like she had literally, it's like, everybody's lying. Like, don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. Everybody's lying.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so true, right? Like, everybody is lying. Everybody's not this happy. Everybody's not a millionaire. Everybody does not have all these things that, we think they have. And, we need to start challenging society and social media and be more real with each other. Like, I am not okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's
not be okay.
Are not okay because they're so busy trying to prove themselves that they are based on other standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Convincing themselves.
Trying to convince themselves.
That's exactly why this podcast is here. We are giving the down and dirty. Everything is not
good,
always
bad,
okay.
The ugly, all of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's not always the glitz and glam.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on dating, right? And so we kind of get back into that. So with dating, we talked about dating, right? And we'll get a little deeper into that. But do you see yourself being married again? Would you get married again?
Ooh. So you're asking me this, September 22nd, 2022. Now, when y'all come to the wedding and, it's done, y'all can be like, girl, you lied. But right now, I'm not saying absolutely not. I don't know. I'm still very connected to Troy. And so right now, I feel like that's that. I want to have him always as that husband, that person that I had. And I'm sure that will change. I think that I can have a really good relationship with someone that is my life partner. And I don't need a piece of paper to say that he is my husband. So if you do come to a wedding, it may be a wedding without a marriage license and you just don't know it. There are some, when you are just, again, being transparent, when you are a widow, and I'm sharing this because you can Google this information, but when you're a widow, when your deceased spouse hits retirement age, you get their Social Security.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
If you remarry, you do not. Right. And so there's that I think about. I'm sure if I meet the right man, that little Social Security check ain't gonna be in my mind, right? But I'm always thinking about how do I continue to secure things for my family, because Troy was huge on money management, financial stability. I'm able to live a life where I'm not overly concerned about finances because of things that he put in place. So I feel like part of that is honoring him. Like, I feel like Troy, if you knew Troy, I know for a fact Troy did the research before he left this earth. He knew that I was going to get Social Security at a certain age. He knew that certain type of benefits were going to be there. He knew everything. I'm telling y'all, it was lined out for me. I didn't have to, it was on a sticky note on the computer, like it was there. And so part of me kind of feels like, well, he wanted me to have a little check. So, but I'm open to being remarried. So we'll see. To the right person.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Gotta be the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do it again, because marriage, look, let me tell you something right now. And Ken, I would love to hear your opinion about this. But if Jared and I don't work out for some reason, or something was to happen, I would not sign up to do this again with nobody. No, he is good for a lifetime. Okay, because
that's all I need.
That's all I need. Like you said, a partner. I'll do a partner. If you can stay at your house, I'll stay at my house. You know how the older people, when they be dating and stuff.
Look, they little friend.
I have a little friend.
Yeah, that's right. Friend. That's what they call him, my little friend.
Yeah, because I ain't signed up for this again. What about you, Ken?
So I actually like being married. But I don't feel like you have to be married to have a partnership or life partnership with someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't, God forbid, anything happened I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I guess it would depend on how or why we would no longer be married. Because I also understand that I'm not sure I want to go through this phase of, hi, I'm Kendra, and
You don't.
my favorite food is,
Mm-hmm.
and here's my son, and my son has to approve. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to.
You
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't.
I have no idea.
Yeah. No.
I don't know, but I do like being married. I do.
Yeah.
Is marriage hard work? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if anybody tell you it's not, they lying.
Lying.
Like Melissa Butler said, lying.
They
They are
lying.
lying. A little Detroit accent. Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. Just have. Hopefully,
You
you
made it
never
clear,
have
Devin,
to
you ain't get married
figure
again.
it out.
Yeah.
Gia,
No.
you're open. You're not opposed, or you're not like, let's go get married. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I said I was gonna marry rich. I used to like a
I could definitely see that.
We used to get
Ooh.
excited, and I was like, "Oh, if this don't work out, I ain't even marrying for love. I'm about to find somebody's woman." Like, God, did you not hear my cry?
Look, the rich man is coming. The rich man
Oh,
is
that's
coming.
funny.
He's coming.
That is funny. That is funny.
He's just trying to give you a little bit of time. That's all. But he's coming.
You're right. You're right. He want me fully healed. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is that how we would describe the dating scene for you, Gia? Like, what does that?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So there's a couple of things going on, and so I'm gonna always self-reflect first. I don't know how to date anymore, right? So let's say that I've been, Trey and I married for almost 7 years, but we were together for 15 years. So for the past 16 years, I haven't dated, so I don't know what it is. And then people are different. So I say Social Security. Look at me thinking about social media, broken homes, which was always a thing. I'm very big on part of mental illness comes from the stuff we put in our bodies. So all of the things that we're eating and drinking these days and smoking and whatever else, people generally are different. And I found a lot in dating, people don't even know how to connect. Like people don't even know how to have conversation. And I am a big, I like to talk. I want to get to know you. I want to ask those really deep questions that be like, oh, you're that type of person.
Because you're deep, girl.
I be trying to put people in boxes like, oh, he said, but that means he over here. But I have not found that a lot of men are able to communicate really well. So I find myself falling into this comfortable trap, right? A lot of people use the word comfortable as where they want to be. I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So put me in these situations where I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm forced to be a better person. I'm forced to challenge the way that I've always done things. And I think I have fallen into this comfort trap where I'm taking care of men that I'm dating, mentally and emotionally, because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to taking care of Troy. And so that feels natural for me. And I'm not quick to be like, oh, this doesn't work. This isn't what you want. You don't want to do what you've been doing. It's time to do something different. And so, yeah, a lot, I won't say a lot, I ain't dating everybody. But some of the men that I have dated, I found myself, I feel like I am the giver in that way. I do have a person in my life who, for the first time, has given me a lot of emotional support. But I feel like that's kind of where it stops. And so I don't know if I found that well-rounded, perfect thing yet. And I'm also having to challenge that in myself. Like nothing is perfect, Gia. Like no man is going to be perfect. And I have to think back to how I started with Troy. Like the reason that you and Troy were able to get to this beautiful space is because we grew together.
Right.
We met at 22. And I think dating at 22 and growing into your 30s is so much different than almost being 40
Mm-hmm.
and dating someone. You have people with all of these different experiences and different walks of life that you're trying to somehow bring together. And so it's just different. It's really different. So I find myself having to pray very often,
Mm-hmm.
like God. And when I don't have the answer, I have to tell myself, be still. But I feel that way because I also strongly believe that we are not here to be self-servant.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not here. I'm not here to be pleased 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the story is that I brought this person that you feel isn't the best thing for you and isn't well-rounded and isn't rich and don't look like this and isn't all of these things that you're knocking, but it ain't about you. I brought this person in your life because there's something in you that I need you to give to him.
Oh, wow.
And so that's where I'm trying to just be still and be like, God, how are you using me? We pray all the time, God, use me, I'm yours. I want to be your vessel, all of these things we say, but the truth is we're not ready for that. We're not ready to be led in the way that God wants to lead us. We want to do what we want to do. And so I'm trying to learn to sit back and say, God, if you're using me in this relationship, no matter how long it is, use me. I'll tell God, this ain't what I want. I want some more money. I want the nice things. I want you, but God knows me. I got to tell him that. He knows that. So I just sit back and say, there must be something in me that you need me to give in this situation. And so allow me to give, even though I feel like I've given enough. But unfortunately, we don't get to say what enough is. So.
Ooh,
Yeah, you took us to church with that one.
you sure did.
Girl.
And what it really means to be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, sometimes we get lost in that. And for you to even everything you've been through and you're still wanting to be used and you're still able to see that God is trying to use you to for even fathom thinking that.
Yeah. Troy taught me that. My relationship with Troy, because it was not easy. Every so often there would be this huge challenge, because if you've ever had friends or family members that battle depression, it's up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they have these really low lows that can carry on. And so I spent a lot of our relationship, although madly in love with the man,
Mm-hmm.
having to take care. And sometimes when I didn't know what to do, so he taught me that that's what love is. Love is giving. I believe that love is more giving than receiving. And especially if you can find the gift in giving, right? Like I'm giving to you and it makes me feel good because I'm seeing you happy. And that's why I think we had a really great marriage, because that's what we did. I'm going to do what I need to do to make you happy. And he did what he needed to do to make me happy. And so he taught me that. So that's something that I won't, that's one thing that I'm comfortable being comfortable with, is always knowing that in relationships, you give.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
I know. It's the perspective.
Right. It's the perspective. That's what it is. It is the perspective.
You got to be
So
intentional about perspective, because you could change it up,
yeah,
I
you
think
can.
that's work too, because there are so many different perspectives that you can.
And you can have a negative perspective, right? With everything you've been through, but you're still being positive.
Yeah.
Like that speaks volumes.
Thank
Like
you.
so much. Okay. So with dating now, right? Do you have any guilt with dating?
So Troy used to always say to me, if I was ever not here, and I believe that that was always an option for Troy,
Mm-hmm.
someone that lives with that type of illness and the way that he did, I don't think suicide was something that just popped into his mind one day. I think it's something that he's always thought about. And so often he would say, if anything ever happened to me, I know you'll move on super quick. And I would always be like, no, I wouldn't. I would not. Like trying to convince him and myself that like would I? And so maybe there's a little bit of guilt in that to be like, dang, he was right. Because I think a couple of days after Troy passed, again, complete transparency here, one of my best friends came to my house and she was sitting on my bed and I was like, girl, who you know that's single? And I think it was still not in full realization of what had happened and just reacting, just being reactive and giving no thought to anything. But I've always been a relationship person.
I was just about to say that. That's like ever since I've known you, you've always been in a relationship. So I think that's more of a safety net than versus like moving on. It's just like, that's where you're, I know you want to be comfortably uncomfortable, but I think that's where you're most safest is with some people are relationship people and that's okay. And so I don't think it was more like, okay, I'm just trying to move on. It's more like, that's where I feel safe.
It is.
And Troy did such a good job of taking care of you and providing and protecting you. You're just looking for that again. Don't be hard on yourself about that. I just think that's where you're most safest.
Yeah, you said that. And I appreciate you saying that because I think so many people want to weigh in on when is the right time and how to do it. And I think there's this negative connotation around being a relationship person and this narrative around you need to learn how to be with yourself. Just because I prefer to be with someone does not mean that I'm uncomfortable being alone. The two can coexist, right? I can be alone. I prefer not to.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a choice.
And I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. That's the truth. It is a hard thing to go to bed every night by yourself and to have to replay the night of, right? Or the weeks leading up to, or, thinking future, like, what is my daughter going to walk in here and say one day? And how am I going to tell her the truth? I don't want to be alone with that consistently. And that's how I survive. I incorporate people into my life that help distract me from that. Do I completely run away from it? No, I spend enough time alone to where I'm not being unhealthy about it. But I'm not going to torture myself either and say I need to sit in this room every night and have these thoughts and sit with them. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's definitely fair. And to those people who want to cast judgment, like forget them. Like everybody have so many opinions until they're in that situation.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I understand now. No, you should always be understanding. You should always have an open mind because you don't know what people are going through.
Yeah.
And you don't know how you will handle it in that situation. So just as a culture, like we need to stop with the judgment stuff because of how people raise their kids, what they feed their kids, how they feed them. Like, shut up.
McDonald's.
Right. So what? Like, let people live their life. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know what that mama is going through to feed their child McDonald's. If you don't want to feed your child McDonald's, then that's your right.
Do your thing.
That is your right. But the good Lord made McDonald's for those mamas.
And he did.
Who don't got time to cook. Okay.
I ain't got it.
It was invented for a reason. So everything is here for a reason. How you utilize it is your business.
That's the part that everybody has an opinion. Everybody. And it's like, just mind yours.
Do that.
Yeah.
Just mind yours.
And is this opinion helpful? I'm not saying you can't speak out on things, right? But is it helpful? Is it beneficial? Is it going to make a change? If it's not, keep it to yourself. I'm sorry. If it's negative, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Period.
And that's the opinion I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Open up your book though. If you want to weigh in, let's talk about you too. Let's open up your book and let's talk about what you got going on.
Because I can tell you how you could do some stuff a little differently.
Let's reciprocate. Let's have a conversation.
Right.
Let's talk about it. So Gia, if we think about any dates you've been on, what has been the best date and what has been the craziest date you've been on?
Ooh. So So craziest in a good way though, because I really have not been on a lot of dates.
Mhm.
One, because I'm an open book. So I have found that I have to limit the interactions that I have because everybody shouldn't be privy to the intimate parts of my life, and I'll find myself sharing it with the man on the street. So the limited amount of dates that I have had, the craziest good one was this guy, super thoughtful, took me to, what's it called, like break room, damage room, whatever, where you go and you get to like throw bottles and
Oh,
break
cool.
plates and whatever else. So, he knows my story and he felt like, I would benefit from getting some things out in that way.
That's
So
thoughtful.
it was crazy because I would never do that. And I'm ghetto and bougie. What's the word? Bougie. And so I don't think like breaking stuff and throwing stuff like, I don't know why they didn't make me no prissy duck, Devin.
I don't know
But
why
anyways, I probably the ghetto part of me. So it was I didn't really break a lot of stuff because I was like, he was like, what's your favorite music? And I was like, well, Drake and 2 Chainz. So that's what was playing. And if I'm not at a concert drunk, you're really not going to get like live out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't quite drunk and I was just kind of there like, what are we doing? But it was really thoughtful. And I think I cried at the very end when I finally smashed a champagne bottle and realized, oh, I needed this. So that was crazy in a good way. What was the other one? Best date?
Yeah, it sounds like that was a good one.
Anybody wowed you? That was
I don't want to
thoughtful.
give him that much credit though, because he got work to do as far as giving a best date. So should he listen to the podcast?
Send it to him, girl. Pressure is on, mister.
Yes, like you might want to listen to this episode.
Yeah, I
And
haven't.
he can fast forward to. We'll give him the minutes to. He can fast forward and
do it just to. Yeah, I'm waiting for a great date, so I know it's coming. I have a very high bar when I think about a great date. So
okay. So then,
I've heard those breaking rooms are like very therapeutic.
Yeah,
I'm actually interested in going.
Well, we should
to
go.
one of those.
Let's go.
I think they have one.
I'm sure they have one.
They have one here.
Next time I'm there, we're gonna go and we're gonna.
There's a lot of Black-owned ones. This one was Black-owned, so yeah, I'm sure.
Okay,
they're everywhere.
I have to look it up.
Okay, so anybody who's listening, right, Mister? Maybe it's you. So you're okay. So you say you haven't been on a best date yet. So what is your dream ideal date? If since you haven't experienced a best date yet.
I think at this old age,
you are not old.
Girl, and y'all my nose ring came out. I don't want y'all to think like something is in my nose.
Oh no, you're fine.
You're good.
I didn't even notice.
I think we're mature, right? So the movies and dinner and drinks is old. It's played at this point. I would really like let's go to a different city. I mean, it doesn't have to be far. Like I'm in Houston, let's go to Dallas. Let's go to Austin real quick. It's a 2-hour drive, or San Antonio. I found this great restaurant, your favorite food. I love a good craft cocktail.
Ooh,
nice bar. So let's go to dinner, bar, and then something romantic. I don't care whether it's like outside, under the stars, all of that cliche stuff, or if it's actually doing something like we go and experience. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of dinner in the dark. That's something I really want to do. Where you're
Oh yeah, they have one in Atlanta.
I have heard of that.
I want to do that. But I think getting away always adds an extra element to a date. And then just anything that takes into consideration who I am. Like I know she likes, I know she loves, I know she would want. And so you incorporate that, and don't ask me anything. Just ask me to be there. That's it. I need a planner. Troy was a planner.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep going back to Troy. Y'all see, I ain't ready
it's
to do
okay.
it.
It's fine.
But yeah, I want it planned out. Just tell me what type of attire, and let's go.
I love that.
Love it. Showing up.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Showing up.
All right, mister. Well, I hope you're listening. And look, she laid it all out for you.
Right.
She laid
She
it
gave
all out
y'all
for
the
you.
golden ticket.
Yes, that's the golden
Yes.
ticket. See, we made it easy for you, mister.
Yeah. And if you listen to the podcast, you already got one. You already
Look,
There we
look,
go. There
see,
we
there you
go.
go. There you go. So get on it.
There we go. There we go. So how did you
So,
get to where you are now, Gia?
Um, in relation to the healing journey,
mhm.
Mhm.
Just today, where you at?
Whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Motherhood, healing, date, anything.
Whatever you want to talk
so
about.
I'm still in this space where Troy gets a whole lot of credit. Troy got me here, right? I think Troy knew ahead of time this day was coming, and he did everything humanly possible here on earth to prepare me. So where I think my story is a little different. So when you ask what I would share with a woman that's gone through something like this or similar,
Mhm.
Troy walked me through his pain. I knew where he was the day before, where he was mentally before it happened, right? So wherein I never, ever thought that it was a possibility. But when it happened, I understood. So I wasn't he didn't leave me in the dark. I wasn't sitting here like, oh my God, like what? Right. So I was actually healing during it all. So I share with people that when his dad passed, the depression took on a different face. Like it was a depression that I had not seen in him before. And I literally fasted and prayed. I got off of social media. You could probably look on my Instagram and see where I came back and was like, I'm back from my hiatus. And then I think 2 weeks later, Troy passed away. But I had stepped away and I prayed and I was like, God, you know us, you know what we're battling, fix it. Like we need peace. And my best friend said he fixed it. And that's probably difficult for a lot of people to hear because you do not think about God fixing things in this way. But God, and I don't like to sound preachy, but I believe that God knows the day and the time. He already knows how we're leaving this earth. And God knew. And God doesn't want us to suffer. Troy was suffering. He was suffering in a way that nobody as good as he is and was should have to suffer. So that's part of the reason that I am here today, or how I got to this place, is because I know that, right? Troy showed me a love, like I shared, like none other. I can't do nothing but be grateful about that. I know why he did what he did. I knew what he was up against. I don't have to question. I don't have to question why. That's not a question in my head. And I think that's one of the hardest things to face when you lose like this. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they tell me? I could have helped. I could have done something. I didn't have any of those doubts or questions. Troy made sure of that. He knew that this was going to be painful. And so he wanted to remove as much of the pain as he could. And he did. And so my healing is really for my children. I think that is going to hit me hard when it shows up. And like I said, I have to have a conversation about the truth. And I think just the ebbs and flows of grieving, those days where I'm just literally yesterday having a good day. And then I wake up one day and I do not want to move. Like I cannot move. But I'm here today on this podcast because God has been good to me. My village has been good to me. My parents, man, that's a whole nother, they deserve like 5 episodes.
They do.
Because they are amazing. If I could tell you their story, I'll just tell you they relocated here and they are 10 minutes away from me. And that is not because life served them champagne and chocolate, it's because they were like, whatever she needs, we're going to show up. And so they have shown, girl, I don't have my kids on the weekend. Let's talk about that. Saturdays and Sundays, they ain't mine. That is a blessing. So I'm able to have really great days because I have the space and time to heal. I have the space and time to think, to talk, to process, to show up or not. I've just got great people around me. I had a beautiful man in my life, and God is always so faithful.
Gosh, I love the way you honor your husband. Like, I love that. I absolutely adore that. And definitely, like, we got to get your appearance on the podcast and just how they supported you.
Thank you.
Look, they are, when I say gold, they might.
We'll see. My dad would, absolutely.
Yeah, when I say golden parents, like parents of the century. And I'm so grateful that you have them. So
that's a blessing.
Yes.
It really is.
I couldn't ask for a better set. I'll tell you that.
Oh, girl. They did that. They doing that. They are doing that.
They are.
So
Anything
Gia,
for their baby.
Yes. Baby girl on top of that.
You know how we get treated.
Yeah, I know. I'm not fortunate enough to like really
I know you're not baby girl, but you know.
So what would you say your life motto is? Like, what do you go by every day?
I think it is get up and try. Get up and try. I used to compliment Troy all the time and would tell him how strong I thought he was, because to be able to battle what he battled and get up every day and push and push and push, that shit was next level hard.
Right.
And so again, a takeaway from him in our marriage: get up and try. Get up and try. Do not let your mind talk you out of what you can and cannot do. And I'm not talking about these grand accomplishments, right, that we consider accomplishments. An accomplishment for me, girl, today I went to Walmart and I found 50-cent jump ropes to put in Arden's bags for her birthday party. And that was an accomplishment because they was on sale.
Right.
Okay. And I showed up at Walmart the right time, the right day. And it could have been a bad day for me. It could have been a day that I didn't want to push, and I would have missed them damn jump ropes.
Right.
And so I just think getting up and trying is an accomplishment, because some people truly can't, or it is a struggle, and we take some of the small privileges in life for granted. And so no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's going on, I'm always going to get up and try. That's it.
I know a lot of folks need that, and I do.
Yeah.
Get up and try. Some days you just don't feel like it.
Yep.
And you have to tell yourself that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gia, what's next in life for you?
I hope another great love. I think in the immediate future is really being unapologetically myself. I think when you are a wife, there are certain things that I believe that you're responsible for. And that is only defined by yourself and your spouse, right? And what you all create. And Troy and I both grew up similarly. So we were very much a wife behaves and carries herself this way. So my butt being out on Instagram, that would have never happened as a wife. Being able to speak freely in certain rooms or a certain way probably would never happen as a wife, because I'm honoring Troy now, but in his physical presence, I would honor him. So we're in a room together, I let him lead, and I support what he's sharing or saying. And then he'd always kind of back up and be like, I need you on this one. And then that's when Gia would come through, I'm here now, like I got something to say. But a lot of my friends are like, man, I'm glad you're back to yourself. And it's not that I lost myself. It's that I was a wife and life was different. And some people don't understand that because there are certain things that they didn't sacrifice in their marriages. And not saying that they had to, again, to each his own. But there are certain things that I learned to be a little bit more subdued about so that he could lead and he could shine in certain areas. And so now I don't have to do that. And so what's next for me is whatever the fuck I want to do, whatever the fuck, whoever the fuck I want to be. So if I want to shake my ass on Instagram at 40, I ain't 40, y'all, but
far from
at 37, I'm going to do that. If I want to wear the thong on the beach, I'm going to do that. You know, if I want to date 5 minute one time respectfully, I'm going to do that. Troy was very, what's the word? Frugal. Frugal. Is that where you spend money recklessly or you're very
no,
No, you
cheapo.
don't.
I like to call them cheapo.
frugal. So I'm going to the restaurant and I want 2 appetizers, an entree, and 2 desserts. And I want several cocktails.
I'm sitting at your table.
Come on, girl. I got it. Not because I just got it.
Right.
Because I'm like, I worry
enjoying
about
life
tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to enjoy this food that's in front of me because I don't know what tomorrow holds.
Right.
And if I'm not here, or I'm grieving another loss, or something tragic has happened, that damn fish was bomb. You know what I'm saying? So I am in that space. I'm going to do what I want, how I want, when I want. And then when life tells me I need to pull back a little bit,
right,
and structure, I'll do that. But right now, it's living life in a very free way.
I'm not mad at it.
Solo.
Yeah.
I love it.
Minus them kids, because
I love it, Gia. And I just love
Yes.
your spirit and your transparency. And you are an amazing woman. And I really admire you and everything that you faced and have gotten through with a smile on your face. So I hope you know how loved you are and how appreciated you are, and just being open about your story.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we have anyone listening, we did want to highlight that October is Depression Awareness Month. And if you know anyone who may be struggling with depression or may think about committing suicide, there's a hotline now out, and it's 988, and it says Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. So utilize that. We'll have that in our description box as well. And send it out to your friends and family who may be just going through something. Sometimes, you know, they want to talk to people outside of anyone who may know them. So just use it as a resource, and we can heal together as a community. So,
and September is Suicide Prevention Month.
Yes, September. Yes, it is. So, and we had Carla Giorgio on last week, and she talked about her depression and, you know, things like that, and things she went through and how she overcame that. So yes, let's just be more open, more transparent, more vulnerable, and let's stop casting judgment. Like, that's not our job. That's not our job. That's not what the Lord put us here for. So let's just support one another.
Absolutely. And be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Be okay with being open.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, that was a heavy combo. So we need some drinks. We need some mama juice.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if y'all saw me take a couple sips.
Yeah.
Kendra, you over there drinking without us?
I did. You didn't see me.
It's a little blurred out over there. Your background is blurred out today, so we didn't really see that.
I know. I had to relocate my recording studio. My mom is in town, so I had to move out of where I typically record. But
that's all right.
Yeah. So Mama Juice is so good, y'all. And let me tell y'all this: I am not a tequila person, and I think I've shared this several times before. But I learned that Gia loves tequila.
Yes.
So we had to curate a drink that spoke to Gia.
Yeah.
And we titled this drink Choose Happiness because, as you all can see, Gia has chose to be happy and embrace, you know, what she's been through and where she's going. And when we made this drink, it's like, What makes us feel good and warm inside? Like we're in the fall months, and I was like, tequila. What can you do with tequila? Because like I said, I'm not a tequila drinker, but we came up with this really good drink, and I hope y'all like it because if I say I like it and I'm not a tequila person, it's good. Okay. So what it has is 2 ounces of tequila, and I'm going to suggest that you use a Reposado or a Mezcal tequila. Those are my two suggestions.
Mezcal, yes.
Yes, I do like Mezcal.
Okay.
It has 3/4 of an ounce of a brown sugar, thyme, and apple simple syrup.
Oh.
And I made that simple syrup because when you think of fall, I think of apple, I think of brown sugar, I think of herbs, warm and cozy. Put all that together and made a simple syrup. And I'll tell y'all how I did that. Also added a 1/2 ounce of fresh lemon juice. And I stirred it up with a nice solid ice cube. And I put a sprig of fresh thyme and a slice of apple on it. It's like a tequila old fashioned, but it's not as strong as it's good. It's really good.
That sounds good.
We'll get
really
you all
good.
the deets.
Yes. And I'll make sure I put the instructions for how to make the simple syrup in the description box. But if you are a mama to be or you just don't like alcohol, that's fine. We have a mocktail version. And that has 2 ounces of spiced apple cider, a 1/2 ounce of fresh lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of that brown sugar, thyme, and apple simple syrup, and add your fresh sprig of thyme and apple slices. And that's the mocktail version of choosing happy.
Love it.
It's
Love
so
it.
good.
I didn't know you was a bartender.
She
I
is a
be
cocktail
trying.
specialist
Yeah.
curator.
It's really me and
Not a
Jonathan. Jonathan actually, like, I came up with the idea of the simple syrup and like using a fresh lemon juice, but he's the one who measured it and was like, maybe we should do this and do that. So he helped a lot with this drink.
Nice. I love the mezcal. I wasn't always a tequila person until my friends pointed out that vodka was really doing me nasty. If I
that's
really
what tequila
wanted
does
to
to me.
drink, they were like, you can drink tequila for days and be okay. And I have never had a hangover, like any type of vomiting, nothing with tequila. So now it's got to be my drink because I need to drink. So
and you got to get a good tequila. Like I
Yeah.
think that's where I did not like tequila because it wasn't a good tequila.
It wasn't the right one. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just can't get a Quavo and be like, we're good.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
it was the Cuervos and that Patron. I do not like Patron.
Girl, they played us with that.
In college, I did.
College.
Yeah.
They played us.
Thinking it was top shelf,
Also
bottom
not
shelf.
1942. Let's be clear. I'm not doing that either. Y'all can call me low budget, but I'm not doing
it. So what is your favorite tequila?
So I really like Diddy's tequila.
I heard good about that.
I think it is.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Oh, okay.
And then I cannot think of the brand, but they make flavors. I'm a sweet liquor girl.
Okay.
But there is a mango tequila. I'll have to figure out the name of it, but they make a mango, a passion fruit. It's really good. So I'm still trying to up my game. I need to get my own bottle of mezcal. I do not have that at my personal bar. I only order it when I'm out. So I need to incorporate that.
I like mezcal. Okay. It's good.
It's good.
I have to send you a little bottle of something. Okay, so now it's time for Mama's Corner. And this is my favorite part of the show because this is our way, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, this is our way for us to connect with our listeners. So you all have been doing great with sending us letters, and I check the emails and see if we got anything for the week, and you guys have actually been overflowing our inboxes, so that's great for me because then I can kind of like pick out what questions I want to ask based on the guests that we have. And so I thought this one would be cool because with Gia, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of mama hacks to get you like through the week, especially since you're solo now. So we'll give you a chance to kind of tell our mama what you do on a daily, and then we'll kind of chime in. Okay. So the note reads, "Hey, mama, hey." Oh, I love that. I love when y'all do that.
Yes. Hey, mama.
Hey. So I hope y'all are having a great day. See, I see what she did here. Okay, she made it rhyme. Hold on, I read that wrong. Hey, mama, hey, I hope y'all having a great day. Oh,
there you go. There you go. You gotta bring it
right. See, I'm just reading. She said, "See, I'm working on my rhyming skills." That was funny because we always trying to rap. But anyway, no, I love it though. I knew y'all would appreciate that. Yeah, we did. So I know y'all hear this a lot, but I'm loving this podcast. Keep it up, ladies. I'm a mama of 2, boy and girl. I just wanted to know if y'all had any mama hacks that get you all through the day, just in general, because sis is struggling. Thanks. We all struggling.
Ooh, yeah.
Sis, you ain't alone. Sis.
Oh, so like mom hacks to get you through the day.
Yeah. Whatever you do.
I would say 2 things that I do religiously. One is like if the kids are at school and I'm on the way to something work related or wherever I'm going, I always take those moments in the car before I go anywhere, into anywhere. I just take a moment to myself. Whatever I'm gonna do, whether it's breathe, whether I'm checking social media, whether I'm shopping for something, I take a moment to myself, but I'm very intentional that I'm not shopping for nothing for them kids. It's normally shopping something for me. Because I think moms, we get trapped like that.
We do.
We forget about ourselves and it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this for the kids and the kids need this. And that's how we spend our time. No, it's me. And then the other mom hack is I'm a shopper. So I am stepping foot into a store. If we say 5 days a week, I'm in a store at least 3. And I don't always have to buy something, but I'm going to take 30 minutes, an hour, and I'm going to walk through that store. It's something that I enjoy doing. The kids are not with me. And that's like, I feel like you have to be intentional about creating time, no matter how short it is, just for you. So those are probably the 2 things.
I love that. I love how you brought it back to yourself too. So that's really good because I'm horrible
because that
with
is a hack. I'm learning how to do that too. It's be more intentional about caring for myself. Because like you said, you lose a lot of yourself when you have these kids because everything is centered around their needs, their wants, their structure, which is something you also mentioned earlier in the interview. And that would be my hack, is having some structure and consistency when you can. And if things don't always go as planned, it's okay. Right? But knowing that you have a solid foundation of a system or structure or whatever you label it, that's my hack, in addition to what you just mentioned, Gia, with just being intentional about caring for myself, because I can't care for y'all if I'm not taking care of myself either. So yes, mama, structure and being intentional about caring for yourself and understanding your wants and needs as well.
I love both of
those wants and needs.
That's really good. Thank y'all. I guess I'll give one. So for me right now, my hack is setting timers, like for the kids, like with transitions. It has worked magical, and we have an Alexa, and now they set their own timers. So Drew and Jay be like, Alexa, set a 5-minute timer, and I'm like, cool. And now they're even doing it with like sharing toys, like they fight a lot over toys, but now they're becoming self-aware. So Drew actually came up with this idea on his own. And he's like, okay, I'm going to tell Alexa to set a 2-minute timer. And when a timer goes off, Jay, you have to give me a toy. And they both responded to that.
Oh, wow.
Without me or Jared, we were looking at each other like, you see this? Oh, we actually doing something right.
I love that.
Because they bite so much, y'all. Like, and Gia, you probably can relate to this, but it's just like, I'm like, who are we raising? Like, what is going on? Like today, I was talking to Kendra on the phone. I literally had to get off because Jay tackled Drew onto the concrete. And I just knew.
Oh my God, Kendra, I'm going to call you back. I'm like, wait. I couldn't even ask what happened before. She had already hung up. I said, well, she'll call me back.
I just knew we were going to the hospital. I was going to have to reschedule. We was going to have to reschedule with Gia tonight because I was just like, Like these kids, boy. But seeing that, I'm like, okay, so the timers are working. It's an adjustment period. It takes a while, but we do it for the park. We do it right before bed, bath, dinner, anything. I'm setting that timer. And it just, even when they have cool downs in their room, when that timer go off, you can come out your room, and it's just something that doesn't have to be explained at this point now. Now for Drew, when we do Jay, when we do cool downs, we count up to 100, but Drew is old enough to kind of realize, okay, when the timer goes off, I'm good. So yeah, set those timers, mama.
I love it.
Yeah, they work for me. But anyway, okay, so Gia, how can the people find you on social?
So my Instagram is Amari Nicole, and I mean, I'm on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah.
I wouldn't share that. That's really my only social media platform. I go on social media to check stuff. I'm not a big poster. Maybe that will change now in a new phase, but social media is trash.
Yeah.
In a whole lot of ways. I think it is great for businesses and marketing, and I think it is a great tool. But it can also be a detriment. So I really try to balance the amount of time I spend. So if you're really trying to get at me, okay?
For the men's listen out there.
Men's.
Hoping I would meet somebody in a local grocery store. It's working out for me. But yeah, that's my Instagram, Amari Nicole.
Okay. So, and it's okay for them to DM you if they have any questions or.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty transparent. Hopefully we're all in a point where we know how to be tactful.
Right.
So that's all that I would ask, because I am from Polk County, and
right. And if anybody's disrespectful, let Kendra and I know.
We got your back, girl.
Yeah, it'll bring.
We got your back.
Right.
But I trust that everybody would be. But
yes, absolutely.
Ask me whatever you'd like. I'm here to help where I can.
Yeah, this is definitely a safe space. So we will hope our listeners out there would be respectful. So,
absolutely.
Ken, how can they find us?
So we too are mainly on Instagram, but we are trying to be more present on TikTok and Facebook. But we are at The Real Mama Pod on those platforms. And if you are curious about what's going on in my world, you can follow me at Kendra Ferg _, and that's KendraFerg _.
You can reach me at Dev Grace _DEV GRACE _. If you have a letter you want to write us, you can email us at mama@therealmamapod.com. If you want to check out our mama merch and our rich auntie merch, check out our website, www.therealmamapod.com. I think I added another W. Right, www. But no, www.therealmamapod.com. And just check us out if you want to learn more about me and Ken. That's a good spot to start. If you want to send some gifts to a mama friend or a rich auntie, check out our merch. But as always, thanks for your support. Have a good night.
Be sure to like, share, and review.
Oh yes, do that.
Episodes. Please share this episode with anyone who may need to listen to it
or may not. It's helpful. Yeah, but it's just helpful information in general. We need to start changing the narrative. So send it to everybody. And the norms, because nothing is normal. There's no such thing.
Thanks.
So have a good night. Bye.
Bye.